Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. Time for a What's Been Spinning video, the little series where I just kind of share with you the albums that I've been spinning since the last What's Been Spinning video. As I always like to say in the beginning, I share the albums here that I actually sat down and listened to from start to finish. Not albums I just maybe listen to a few songs here and there and, skipping around sometimes, like which I like to do a lot of times. So these are the albums that I sat down and kind of took in so over the past couple weeks or however long it's been. And I usually don't talk much about the cassettes or CDs, but since I have these sitting here, I'll just share them really quick. And I'm going to kind of jump through these pretty quick and maybe just kind of share, my quick thoughts or my favorite song off of the album, because there's quite a few here and it'll take a long time if I get too in depth with each one. But we'll start here with Badlands. Gave that cassette a spin. Fantastic, just kind of hard rock, I guess kind of playing around in the glam area too, but really just kind of a straight up hard rock, fantastic album right there. Definitely one I would like to get on vinyl at some point. And also No More Tears by Ozzy Osbourne, another great one here. Have this on CD and vinyl, but wanted to spin the cassette, which usually when I get the urge to play cassettes, it's normally glam, hair metal, and metal. That's typically when I kind of crave playing cassettes. But this definitely has some of my favorite Zach kind of performance, if you will, on this one. So I love going back to that album pretty frequently. And cassette wise or CD wise, Jim Croce, greatest hits, love songs, all the stuff you'd expect from a greatest hits album from Jim Croce. Around the world, you have Prince here. Was kind of flipping through my Prince collection the other day and just kind of reminded myself that I still don't have this. It pops up all the time, but I'm looking for, of course, a great, excellent to near mint copy at a very, very inexpensive price and all of that. So I'm just kind of patiently waiting for that to come across. But yeah, definitely a decent album. I guess that and Under the Cherry Moon kind of followed Purple Rain. And Under the Cherry Moon was definitely an album I liked a bit more than that one, but still great stuff. Heat Wave, greatest hits, just one fantastic album right here. Heat Wave, such great stuff from like the late 70s going into the 80s with the disco, funk, R&B type of thing. Biggest hit was probably Boogie Nights, but my favorite song by them is definitely Gangster of the Groove. Just one of those videos I used to see all the time when I was younger, and that song brings up so many different memories. Seal, hadn't gone to this album in quite some time. I'm always going to his second album. Roll With It by Winwood, another fantastic and fun listen. Turn Up the Quiet by Diana Krall, one of my absolute favorite jazz vocalists, and this album definitely does not disappoint. And one I haven't played in at least probably 7-8 years, Down to the Bone, from Manhattan to Staten. Just kind of a really neat, almost smooth jazz house music kind of combination thing. A friend introduced me to that years and years ago and just hadn't played it in a while. So now on to the vinyl. Keane, Under the Iron Sea. Great album here from 2006. Favorite song off of this is It Any Wonder? So kind of the first song that brought me to them. So another great album right there. Love that cover. Elton John, self-titled. Sorry about the glare, guys. This means my records are clean. So you guys know that one though. 1970 release. And then we have the all-girls kind of hard rock glam type of band, Girls School. This is Running Wild. This is their 1985 release. Really good stuff here. They put out a number of albums in the 80s. So if you're not familiar with them, definitely check them out. If you kind of like that all-female hard rock, like I said, somewhat glam type of thing. Definitely jumped into some of my jazz. Lee Morgan, The Cooker, one of his legendary albums. Not my favorite by him, but still, like, this is one of his absolute legendary albums and always a great listen. Sorry, still trying to work the glare out. Nice Tone Poet pressing of that, which sounds fantastic. And the man himself, my absolute favorite jazz artist, John Coltrane, and this is My Favorite Things, his 1960 release, where he covered the song from, Sound of Music and great stuff when he was still kind of in his traditional phase. L7, Hungry for Stink. This is their 1994 release. Just typical L7 on this one. You know, just kind of some rough, punchy, in-your-face type of grooves, and just, I mean, those ladies brought it. Fantastic album, and glad they finally got around to reissuing that. This is one I think you've seen in a couple of my What's Been Spinning videos. Bryan Adams' Reckless. So easy to constantly go back to this album. From 1984, I mean, just plays like a greatest hits album with Run to You, Heaven, Somebody, Summer of '69, It's Only Love. I mean, this just a freaking rockin' album. And it's something about the groove and the guitar riff on a Somebody, like that song just has a good feel to it. It has like a really strong Bad Company type of, you know, blues rocky power to it. I mean, he just nailed it on that one, and It's Only Love he did with Tina Turner. Never get tired of listening to those two songs. And you guys know this classic, Dire Straits' Brothers in Arms. Beautiful Mo-Fi pressing there. 2 LP, 45 RPM. Sounds absolutely fantastic for a record that was already fantastic. And hadn't gone to this in a while. Different Kind of Truth, Van Halen, their 2012 release. Yeah, again, just hadn't spun it in quite some time and thought about it the other day when I looked at the poster, and I was like, let me give VH a spin. So that was another good revisit. I mean, it's not all of a sudden going to be my favorite Van Halen album, but it was great getting it from them when we weren't sure if we were going to be getting more music from them. Tony, Tony, Tony. This is their 1993 release. Big hits off of here was If I Had No Loot, and probably Anniversary. That's definitely a big hit off of here as well. But just one of those groups that were, you know, kind of big in the early 90s with kind of the whole R&B, what's the other word I'm looking for? Geez, going totally brain dead. But anyway, Tony, New Jack Swing, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, so another great one there. Glad they got around to reissuing that one too. And arguably my favorite Marvin Gaye album. You know, I know What's Going On and a number of other things are, you know, kind of easy to grasp onto, and those are legendary, don't get me wrong. But I think song for song from front to back, this is my Marvin right here. I Want You. And again, this one is just, there wasn't really a lot of kind of activism on this album, or, you know, message songs and things like that, outside the message that, like the title says, I want you. Like this was when he was definitely more in his sexy mode, let's put it that way. Great album though. That really cool painting too, by Ernest Watson, is that it? But anyway, for those of you who used to watch the Jeffersons, you probably remember seeing this print during the credits all the time. Just a very awesome, famous piece. I think Jamie Foxx owns that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making that up. Anyway, Diana Krall, This Dream of You. Kind of got on a kick with her. This is her most recent release from 2020, and still just her doing her amazing vocal thing. And she actually has one or two songs in there that almost have like a country feel to it, which was kind of different for her. Norah Jones, Come Away With Me. Again, all you guys know this album, you know how beautiful it sounds and everything else, so I don't have to say anything about that one. And I spun the first album out of the Tina Turner box set, The Queen of Rock and Roll, 5 LP box set, and it's basically just kind of a compilation. You can see this is LP1, you see the track listing there. Just a compilation of all her great stuff, and yeah, sounds fantastic and really fun listen. Can't wait to go through the rest of that box set. Disturbed, 10,000 Fists. This is out of the Disturbed box set. Awesome 2 LP set. Song for song, in my opinion, probably their best album, even though maybe my favorite songs aren't on this one. But 10,000 Fists, Just Stop, Defy, Stricken, Sons of Plunder. I mean, the Land of Confusion cover they did of the Genesis song Land of Confusion. I mean, just a really awesome album. It was a fun listen to kind of revisit. A very kind of teen angst type of album. And then another one that you see frequently and probably will continue to see frequently in my What's Been Spinning stacks, Rainbow Down to Earth. this is my freaking album right here when it comes to Rainbow. It's awesome, it's rising, and everything else is. Long live rock and roll, the whole nine. This is the one that I constantly come back to. You know, songs like All Night Long and Since You've Been Gone, like something about those songs are just like pure fist pumping rock to me, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Never get tired of listening to that one. White Light, White Heat, The Velvet Underground. Again, another legendary album you guys know very well, I'm sure. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Mindsets here. This was her release from 2023. Basically 6 new songs from her. First side is the 6 songs. Second side are the same 6 songs done live. And again, nothing on here necessarily blows me away. At the same time, it is good stuff and it is vintage Joan. So anytime there's a legendary artist like Joan Jett that's putting out stuff, you know, hey, the more we get from you while you're still here, the happier it makes me. And, you know, give us more, Joan, without question. So that's a great one as well. Moving Sidewalks, the complete collection. Nice 2 LP set. I don't know a ton about the history of the band because this is really the first album that I discovered by them a number of years ago. But definitely love them, kind of in that psych garage type of area. If you haven't heard them before, let me just say maybe start out by checking out songs like Crimson Witch. Definitely a great song there. 99th Floor and Need Me. I say maybe those are probably the 3 songs that you want to check out. And on this one here, on side 4, they actually do 3 different covers of I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles, which I'm not sure why. I don't exactly like them, but again, for some Beatle fans, you might be interested in getting that. But definitely check out those 3 songs that I mentioned. Judas Priest, Turbo Lover. Caught a lot of flack when I tried to play this the other day at the shop. But you know, this is definitely 1986. Judas Priest was definitely diving into what was going on in the 80s and bringing in the synth stuff and all of that. I don't care. I love the album. Yes, there's 2 or 3 songs on here I wouldn't mind throwing away and never hearing again. But with like the title track Turbo Lover or like Parental Guidance, which is one of my absolute favorite Judas Priest songs. Because again, I came into Judas Priest in the mid 80s and then discovered their earlier stuff later. So yeah, this album is sits in a good place with me as far as I'm concerned. So yes, I caught a lot of flack when I almost spun that at the shop the other day. I had to bring it home and spin it by myself. Mistress America, another one that's popped up a number of times in my What's Been Spinning. I love this soundtrack. The movie came out in 2015, and it's just this soundtrack, which most of it is instrumental. It's just so 80s. It's so new wave 80s, even though, like I said, it came out in 2015. And with all of the instrumental stuff on here, like, mark my words, if you go listen to it now, and I say this, you won't be able to hear anything else. All the instrumental stuff sounds like the background music you would hear in an 80s teen movie, teen comedy movie, when there's a moment where the guy's about to get the girl, or they're about to have that special kiss, or they're falling in love and realizing they actually like each other. Like, now go listen to the stuff on here and you'll be like, oh my God, that's the soundtrack to every single moment in every one of those movies. And I'm a huge 80s fan, so I love it. And you do get, you know, 1 or 2 other tracks mixed in here, like Souvenir by OMD, which is fantastic. And then also No More Lonely Nights by Paul McCartney. This is I cannot tell you how much pleasure I get from listening to this album repeatedly. So I hope to get it on CD sometime soon. One that I discovered from Dylan over at Noble Records. This is Fraction Moonblood. It's kind of a cool psyche type of album. One of Dylan's like favorite album. Like he raves about this to no end. Now, of course, as beautiful as this is obviously a unofficial pressing, because, you know, if you can even find an original pressing, you know, this is like one of those, I don't know what it is up now, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 albums or whatever. But found a nice bootleg there, and yeah, really cool album. Definitely check it out. Always want to thank Dylan for introducing me to that. pretty easy to get on CD too, I think. Christopher Cross, his legendary piece from '79, yeah. You know, one of those albums that some people might want to make fun of. This album is freaking awesome. I don't care what anybody says. Especially side 2. You know, when you dive into Ride Like the Wind, The Light Is On, Sailing, Minstrel Gigolo. Man, that's a slamming album. I don't care what anybody says. Love that. Betty Davis, They Say I'm Different. One of the absolute queens of funk right there. Sometimes maybe I think she doesn't get quite as much credit as she deserves. But yeah. My favorite album by her is probably Nasty Girls. But still, you won't go wrong checking out any of her stuff. She's a beast. Absolute beast. I've always kind of said she's kind of like a female funk artist that's bringing kind of a Kiss type of the band Kiss type of attitude to her performance and her delivery, and just a very rock and roll attitude in her funk delivery. Really, really awesome. The Darkness, Permission to Land. Another really great album. And people that maybe didn't dive too deep into them, you know, you have songs like Growing on Me that were pretty big, and if you only heard that song, it may sound kind of spoofish or a little kind of, is he being serious or not? But man, you listen to this album from front to back and they were serious. This album freaking rocks. Great, great album. So highly recommend really diving into that one if you haven't before for some reason. Wasp, The Headless Children. Again, another one I hadn't listened to in quite some time, so you had to give that a spin. Stereolab, Switched On. Another great band. This is their release from 1992. Had never heard of Stereolab until I watched the movie High Fidelity, and that's where I first discovered them and became a huge fan immediately. Johnny Robinson, Memphis High. Just another great kind of soul funk album. Not really funk, I should say soul album. From 1970. You know, song Funky Street, God is Love. You know, a couple of really good things on here. So another cool soul album to check out. Houses of the Holy. Of course, you guys know this. Really cool pressing here because you have the hype stickers still in shrink. Awesome, awesome piece there. And the last, got 3 or 4 here. Alice Cooper, Prince of Darkness. Kind of a greatest hits. This is from 1989. Matter of fact, let me just do this. If you want to freeze and take a look, those are the track listing on that. But yeah, just some great Cooper. And of course, this beast. Don't have to say anything about this. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, it is a beautiful MoFi pressing, so that's kind of nice. Van Halen, Volume 1, just the greatest hits. Excuse me. I mean, awesome Van Halen, nice mixture of Roth and Hagar stuff. And the last 2, you got a couple soundtracks. Spring Break, just more of that 80s stuff that made that such a grand time period for me. Probably one of the more B-level movies in all of the 80s teen movies. But if you haven't seen this, you definitely need to check it out. Some cool stuff on here. The title track, Spring Break, is done by Cheap Trick. My favorite song off of here is by a band called Hot Date that was also featured in the movie, an all-girls group, and it's called Do It To You. And then in NRBQ, they do a song called Me and the Boys. Just that typical awesome fun 80s stuff right there. And last but not least, Rhinestone, Sylvester Stallone and Dolly Parton. Another fantastic soundtrack. Fantastic movie. I mean, so freaking funny. Sylvester Stallone was so funny in this thing. It's just, and the songs are some fun country, some serious country, some total spoofy comedy country, and everything in between. So if for some reason you're not familiar with that movie, even more so than listen to the soundtrack, go check out the movie, because the soundtrack probably won't even be of interest unless you know the movie, quite frankly. So anyway, good chunk of stuff there. That's all the stuff that's been spinning over the past couple weeks. I'm playing quite a bit of stuff. But as always, VC, let me know what you think, and we will talk to you soon. All right, take care, guys.